What's going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite, and tonight we're going to be talking about the MW3 Warzone updates for Rebirth Island and even Fortune's Keep. Definitely stay tuned. But before we jump into that, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, drop a like, and also as a reminder, there's plenty of brand new coverage that's going up over on detonated.com, which expands on all the coverage you're seeing here on the channel, and is great for those out there like myself who prefer articles over videos. There's even plenty of tweets going up every hour on Detonated's Twitter. Now this week is actually a fairly important one, as we should be getting some marketing for the mid-season 1 update, which goes live on January 17th. We could potentially be seeing a blog post, roadmap, even a short trailer as of this Wednesday or even Thursday. I'll be live streaming here on the channel every morning for the rest of this week in the case that any of that marketing does end up dropping. But tomorrow on Wednesday, we're at least getting new weekly challenges, possibly a new aftermarket part, and some other surprises, who actually knows. But it was confirmed, and I just heard from Activision right now that we should be seeing a weapon balancing update as of this Thursday. So for those out there looking for a tweak to the MTZ Interceptor over in Warzone, we should be getting that no later than the end of this week. But Raven also went ahead and confirmed that on the 11th of January, which is also this Thursday, we'll be seeing the Vondel Resurgence Quads playlist. According to the poll they went ahead and ran last week, this is the playlist that won over the other Urzikstan points of interest. COD updates today also confirmed that we'll be seeing a bit of a tweak to melee hits, since as of right now they're doing more damage than intended. It's possible we get some of the first set of patch notes this week, as devs just got back in the office following their holiday break, or they end up waiting until next week with Reloaded to just drop a big batch of patch notes that are going to go ahead and fix things for multiplayer Warzone and even zombies. But we're now in 2024, which means that we're getting 2 Resurgence maps added into the current iteration of Warzone. These maps include Fortune's Keep and even Rebirth Island. This is a nice surprise that I really didn't expect to hear about over at COD Next. Over at COD Next, the day before the actual event, but during the pre-brief, we were told that, yeah, over the course of Warzone Mobile's life cycle, we are going to see the release of both Verdansk and Rebirth Island, and that game, of course, goes live in spring. And I even brought up to Warzone Mobile devs, I'm like, why don't you guys add in all vaulted Warzone maps into mobile? That would be a great way to honor those maps' legacies. But then what do you know, while we were playing Modern Warfare 3 at Next, they went ahead and surprised everybody and confirmed that both Fortune's Keep and Rebirth Island are coming to the current iteration of Warzone on console and PC during 2024. Looking at how Warzone maps were dropped last year during MW2's life cycle, we saw the release of Ashika Island in Season 2, and that was the only Resurgence map that we were able to play, since prior to that, with the release of Warzone 2, we only saw Al Mazrah, and then if you guys wanted to play Warzone Caldera, which was Warzone 1, that was all you were able to play. There were no type of Resurgence options on Fortunes or Rebirth that you were able to jump into, so we had to wait until, February to go ahead and play Ashika Island. Then Season 4 brought us Vondel, which was a map that I was honored to go ahead and play early over at Infinity Ward. It's a great map. It's a hybrid one that supports both Battle Royale and Resurgence. Really a big fan of Vondel, and what's cool is that both Ashika and Vondel did support DMZ day 1. We'll circle back to that in a couple of minutes, but I think what's really likely is these maps are going to be cycled out with the inclusion of Fortune's Keep and Rebirth later this year. I don't think they're going to have it to where there'll be a timer rotation between Ashika, Vondel, Fortunes, and Rebirth. I really can't even see more than 3 big Resurgence maps being live at once. 2 I could see, but 3 or more, I really just can't see it. If they keep the maps in, then so be it. I'm down for it. I get it. What becomes frustrating is when there's nothing but a solo option or just a quads option for one map every single week. Then you have to wait for a timer to expire to go ahead and play duos or trios on the map that maybe just came out. Hopefully that's not what happens, but it looks like if these maps do get rotated out, Ashika and Vondel, the only way you'll be able to play them will be through DMZ if you still have that installed. But Fortune's Keep is being described as an early 2024 drop. So what's cool about Fortune's Keep is that this is a very unexpected drop for Warzone 1 a couple of years ago during Season 4 of Vanguard's life cycle. There were no leaks prior to Season 4 that suggested a new Resurgence map was going to be added in, and it was cool to see towards the end of Vanguard's cycle, we just got a new Resurgence map, and we're like, hell yeah, let's do it. And the map itself was sprinkled with little Easter eggs. It was very refreshing. Unfortunately, it was a very short-lived map that was only live for a couple of months prior to it being vaulted for the release of Warzone 2. It's weird how short-lived it was. I'm not going to even go over Al Bagra Resurgence, which was even more short-lived. I think it was only live for like a week and a half or 2 at the most. Not really going to count that because Fortune's Keep was an actual new map that was completely original. It was just really fun to play. I think Rebirth got way too sweaty during Vanguard's life cycle, probably probably because of all the weapons that were live at once in Warzone 1, but with the MW3 movement integration, the map is going to play great, right? The movement integration already really improved how Ashika and Vondel play. Can't even imagine how Fortune's Keep is going to also play on the current iteration of BR, but I really don't see this map dropping any later than Season 2. I think early 2024, to me, represents Season 2 and no later than that, right? Season 2 is going to start on February 7th and will last probably until late March, early April at the latest. I don't really see this map coming out in Season 3, because at that point, you're hitting late spring, you're getting close to summer, and that's when I think Rebirth is coming out, as we'll talk about in a second. But I do think there's a strong possibility they follow the schedule of last year with dropping 2 new Warzone maps, one during Season 2 and one during Season 4. Now, Rebirth Island is being described as a mid-2024 release. Notice how it doesn't say late 2024, it says mid. So when they say mid, I'm thinking Season 4 or 5 at the latest, and I'm also questioning what iteration of the map we're going to see for Rebirth Island, right? We saw many different versions of the map throughout its life cycle. You know, we're talking Cold War cycle all the way to the end of Vanguards. I do think if they want to tie this into the narrative with Perseus, we will end up seeing a modern day version of Rebirth Island in the early to mid 2020s, which we also had during Vanguard cycle, and I think that would tie in perfectly to some marketing for Black Ops 2024, which of course is going to be covering the 90s, early 2000s, but I think it'll be an easy way to tie into the Modern Warfare narrative if they do have a present day version that maybe leaves some teasers behind of what happened decades prior. Now, I feel like they'll end up dropping Rebirth close to when some of the major marketing does begin for the next Black Ops game, since obviously Rebirth was introduced during Season 1 of Cold War's life cycle. That was December 2020. Cannot believe how long ago that really was. I just can't see this map being dropped any later than Season 5 Reloaded or even early Season 6, and the reason why is because of this. So first off, I think when it comes to zombies, that's a big question mark with how that mode's gonna get support during the rest of MW3 cycle. Do you just support Urzikstan for the rest of this year? There's no way that doesn't become stale at some point, so I think it's obvious that they'll end up adding in new exclusion zones, similar to the Dark Ether, or by zombifying upcoming Warzone maps. And what do you know? The only 2 Warzone maps that we know are releasing this year are Fortune's Keep and Rebirth, so I think you also want to tie in zombies a little bit here and release things accordingly. So if you do Season 2, that's good timing if you have a zombified Fortune's Keep. Maybe you have Fortune's Keep Resurgence at the beginning of the season, and then zombified Fortune's Keep during mid-season, and then same thing for Rebirth in like Season 4 or 5. I think that would be perfect to not only give Warzone a breath of fresh air, but even zombies. Now, I'm aware that we saw DMZ support day 1 for Ashika and Vondel, but I think when it comes to zombies, they'll probably need a little bit more time to go ahead and work on that, since you don't want Treyarch spread too thin, where they're working on MW3 zombie updates, also Black Ops 2024, and who knows what else after that. But also look at the current rumor right now that apparently Season 1 of Black Ops 2024 is bringing back Verdansk. I personally don't believe this rumor, even though it's coming from media outlet Insider Gaming, who've been pretty reliable with some of their claims in the past. I still believe we're getting an original Warzone map in December 2024 to integrate with the Black Ops Warzone update, and then we'll end up seeing Verdansk maybe in March 2025 to celebrate the 5-year anniversary. That just makes the most sense, but I understand considering the recent success of the Fortnite OG update, they probably want to drop Verdansk as soon as possible. Regardless though, right, if you end up dropping an original map or Verdansk in December 2024, you're probably going to want to have that spaced out from the release of Rebirth again, right? You're probably going to want to make sure that that releases at least a season and a half or more, a couple of months after the big popular Resurgence map Rebirth does make its return. Now, this is a video for another time, but I think either way, it's cool to know that we're probably going to see the release of 3 different Warzone maps. I know 2 are returning ones, but 3 different Warzone maps throughout the duration of 2024. Now, last thing I'll end with is the possibility of seeing crossplay between Warzone Mobile and the current iteration of the experience on console and PC. Although nothing out there has been confirmed or rumored about this possibility, I do think it's interesting that Verdansk and Rebirth will both be playable in Warzone Mobile. So what does that mean for the newer versions we're going to see on console and PC, especially when we already have cross progression with MW2 and 3's operators, weapons, leveling, the battle pass? I wonder if we'll see that at any point in time. We already have that for Fortnite, for Apex Legends. Why not Warzone one day? I think that would also be cool to see for those out there that want to maybe populate the player base even more. Maybe that even puts a dent in the discussion about skill-based matchmaking. If you have a lot of players also hopping in from mobile, that would be interesting. But also take a look at how Warzone Mobile is currently scheduled for spring 2024. I also think they're going to want to make sure that releases in between Fortune's Keep and even Rebirth Island. So it's totally possible that we see Fortune's Keep in Season 2, and then maybe late Season 3, which is around springtime, that's when you see Warzone Mobile, and then at some point in Season 4, that's when you get Rebirth Island, right? I think that's a really nice way to go ahead and organize and spread out your big drops for the Warzone experience this year. But that is about it. This has been dkdynamite. Leave our thoughts down below in the comment section. What are your thoughts on the information we have as of right now for the MW3 Warzone updates for for Fortune's Keep and even Rebirth. 2 maps that are bound to spice up the Resurgence experience as of this year. Really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everybody.